H. Grosskreutz, we the jury find the defendant Kyle H. Rittenhouse not guilty.
Good evening, Black people and all allies fighting for Black liberation, Black prosperity, and Black joy. I'm Charles Blow, and welcome to Prime. On the same day that we learned that a Denver suburb had agreed to pay Elijah McClain's family a record $15 million following his death at the hands of police 2 years ago, a Kenosha, Wisconsin jury acquitted 18-year-old Kyle Rittenhouse of all charges related to the killing of 2 men and the wounding of another during a protest last summer. The highly politicized and highly contentious trial not only brought into question the actions of Rittenhouse, but also put the issues of gun rights and racial justice and vigilantism on the stand as well. While the media narrative of the trial painted Rittenhouse as a vigilante that took justice into his own hands, his defense attorney contended that that story was a farce.
The story that came out from the beginning was not the true story, and that was something that we had to work to overcome in court, and we think we did that.
When on the trail, then candidate Joe Biden tweeted a video with imagery of Rittenhouse during the unrest in Kenosha with a caption that read, "There's no other way to put it. The President of the United States, Donald Trump, refused to disavow white supremacists on the debate stage last night." In response to the tweet, Biden had come under fire from the right for pegging Rittenhouse as a white supremacist. When asked about that verdict today, President Biden projected a softer tone.
I stand by what the jury has concluded. The jury system works, and we have to abide by it.
Somewhat lost in the politics and social divisiveness of the Rittenhouse trial was that the event that ignited the tensions in the first place, the police shooting of Jacob Blake. Blake was left paralyzed after being tased and shot 6 times by Kenosha officers who not only did not face charges for the shooting, but returned to regular duty. To compound the inaction, the U.S. Department of Justice announced in October that it would not bring civil rights charges against the officer. Joining us to discuss the trial, the verdict, the possible emboldening of vigilantes is Color of Change President Rashad Robinson and opinion columnist for The Guardian, Michael Harriot. So, Rashad, what do you make of the ruling, the verdict itself?
Well, the verdict itself is disappointing and heartbreaking, and at the same time, not surprising. It's not surprising because this is how the system has been designed, and it constantly delivers this time and time again. We saw not only the actions of the judge in the court, but at every step in the process, from Kyle Rittenhouse being allowed to walk the streets with a gun in the first place, to him being able to walk away after shooting. Each and every step sort of led us to this point. And then the larger sort of culture around it of enablers, from social media platforms, which are constantly radicalizing and creating pathways for radicalization. Kyle Rittenhouse was part of sort of these closed groups on Facebook, even though the company has been called out. Politicians all around the country that since 2020 have been introducing and moving anti-protest legislation. Over 100 bills introduced in the last couple of years alone. We worked with local advocates on the ground in Wisconsin to actually fight back and get the bill in Wisconsin dismissed, but we know it's going to be reintroduced. And some of this legislation allows for folks to be able to hit with their cars protesters and not suffer any consequences. So this is all part of a larger culture with 2 different sets of rules for not only for Black people and white people, but even for white people who stand up and fight for racial justice.
So, Michael, what impact do you think this will have on other vigilantes who may look at the verdict in the Rittenhouse case and say, okay, it was legal what he did according to this jury? Does that empower them?
I think it does. I think, embedded in the legal system, right? And we have to stop calling it a justice system, because we're talking about the law and not justice, and it's 2 opposing things, right? So when you get a group of white people who have been told all of their lives that black people are scary, right? And then you tell them that if you think this guy was scared enough to kill someone, then he can be found not guilty because of self-defense. And they have been told all of their lives that black people are scary, and then they have been told that Black Lives Matter protests are violent when, you know, the data shows that they are less violent than civil rights protests of the 60s. Then you will have this expected outcome, and more people will know that they have this right, what is called specifically in Wisconsin as the privilege of self-defense, that white people will understand the way you were feeling, the way you were terrified of black people if you are white. And so I don't think like Rittenhouse's case exposes this, right? Because it was so much a part of culture that Kyle Rittenhouse was comfortable walking down the street with a big old killer machine in front of the cops, and the cops were comfortable enough to let him walk by them. So I don't think this exacerbates it, because it was already a reality in most white people's mind and in most black people's mind already.
Rashad, what impact do you think, kind of psychic impact do you think this has on black people and the movement, the entire movement for Black Lives? This is a moment when we're already seeing some backsliding or backlash from white people on the issue of supporting Black Lives Matter. There's been kind of rejection of the idea of really reforming the police at the polls. We see, there's a moment after when the killer the killer of George Floyd was sentenced, that people thought like, oh, this may be a turning point. Not so much. I mean, what do you think about what happened? How we're supposed to think about this?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is the evolution of movements. Movements lose until we win. And the whole idea of movements is we're constantly pushing folks. Some folks might look at what happened in Minneapolis with the ballot measure too, and opening an office with the goal of opening a sort of an office of peace, an office of public safety in the city, and think of the loss with that ballot measure getting just over 40% of the vote as a loss. 3 years ago, I couldn't imagine that even being on the ballot in the first place. 3 years ago, I couldn't imagine us getting 20% of the vote. 3 years ago, the work that the Color Change PAC was doing on the ground, where people were really having deep and robust conversations about a path forward, I couldn't imagine. In many ways, we have built more power than ever to be able to actually get some of these situations to trial, to get Derek Chauvin some accountability, to be able to have an Ahmaud Arbery case go to trial. Now, that is nothing to sort of rest on. It's simply to say that this is part of progress. And that doesn't mean the other side is not going to be pushing back and fighting back like hell. But racial justice continues to make progress. And that is why our opponents are becoming so emboldened, because they not only know that racial justice gives us an opportunity to expand more opportunities for everyone, it is also the most powerful mobilizing force we have on the left. And so whether it's the attacks on teaching Black history, whether it's going to be the attacks on protest, whether it is situations like this where we have to come face to face with powerful systems that are operating exactly the way they're designed, I don't want people at home who are part of movements, who are working to fight for a better tomorrow, ever think that our victories are going to happen overnight, because that's not the history of struggle. That is not the history of organizing. But part of this work over time is recognizing that we will lose until we win. And that is part of the work that we have to do. And I want people to sort of recognize that, and also recognize that protest has never been safe. Protest has never, Black people fighting for and protesting for a better future has never been Disneyfied. And so we shouldn't allow sort of some of the teachings and conversations about how things happened before to sort of really get us in the way of actually how they happened, and all of the violence and all the pain and all the challenges that had to happen in order for us to get the laws that we currently experience on the books, and all of the work that will continue to happen to make sure that they are implemented, enforced, and realized.
So, Michael, do you agree with Rashad's optimism there that even with setbacks, you are still moving in the positive direction of making substantial change?
Well, I agree with him that, we lose until we win. I don't think that if Rittenhouse would have been declared guilty, that it would have been some big victory for Black people. It would have just been one small measure of justice in the long struggle. And so I think the reality is that the reason this thing was a case, right, was because, first of all, white people had lifted him and deified him and made him a martyr in the struggle for white rights and in this big MAGA struggle for white angst. And so, the fact that this was on the news, that this was a big case, was kind of an endemic of the situation in America. So, I don't think it is as big of a loss as it is, because I don't think it would have necessarily been a big victory. It's just an example of the two-tiered justice system in America that we face every day. And if it wasn't Kyle Rittenhouse, it would have been someone else. There was a police officer that was found guilty in Kansas City, Kansas, who killed a Black man in his own backyard today, right? But white people weren't, didn't make that a big case. So, we can pick and choose what's a loss and what's a win, because white people are going to continue to do this time in and time again.
Rashad Robinson, thanks so much for joining us, and thank you for reorienting my thinking about this a bit more towards the positive angle. Michael, Harriet, stick around. I want to get your take on another story later in the show tonight.